Go ahead. Okay. It's quieting down out there. Thank goodness. We had a really good day today. So I want to thank everyone for coming out and enjoying this different kind of education, not so much in the classroom, but a little more hands-on. My name is Patricia Nelson, and I'm a heavy-duty mechanic. I work for Syncrude, and I have for about 10 years now. Oops. Let's get started. Your turn. There we go. Working in the trades for 10 years. So, a lot of people have looked at me and said, you really don't look like a heavy-duty mechanic. And the truth is that, yeah, I probably don't. But, what you look like on the outside doesn't always dictate what you're capable of on the inside. So what I do, let me tell you about what I do. I work on some of the biggest trucks, dozers, and graders in the world. This truck right here, 797 Caterpillar haul truck, weighs 1.5 million pounds when it's fully loaded and can drive 60 kilometers an hour down a haul road fully loaded. So for the most part, I couldn't bring a huge truck with me today, so I only brought a small part. Now this Suburban up there in that picture usually has an oil filter about this size and carries about 6 liters of oil in your vehicle. So you're probably familiar with that. This 797 truck has oil filters that are this size. It has 7 oil filters like this and holds 580 liters of oil, just to give you an idea about what size we're talking about. And here's a picture of that engine with those filters on there, you can see right there. And just to give you an idea of size when you're standing next to them, that's us, one photo of our shop there. So a mechanic's work can sometimes be in very remote locations. I work shift work, so 12 hours a day typically, 3 days on, 3 days off. I work night shifts as well. It's a very physically demanding. You work indoors and outdoors. Much of my time is spent in a shop. I even have friends that have taken helicopters and planes to remote locations to actually work on equipment in basically the middle of nowhere. So not all mechanics work these types of shifts, but as a mechanic, there are many times that you don't punch a regular clock. Equipment doesn't normally break down on the side of the road at a very convenient location or time. So sometimes it gets a little adventurous. The road for me getting into trades was not a clear-cut path. It took several jobs, some schooling, and a lot of good luck before I got the right opportunities. When I was younger, there were no girl mechanics, there were no welders, there was no Danica Patrick race car drivers. The only trades I knew, my dad was an electrician, but I didn't know what he did. He just went to work and he got something called a paycheck. Yeah, a job. Sometimes you don't get to decide right away what career you're going to be doing. And a paycheck might just dictate what you're going to be doing. Here's just a few of the jobs I did before I even knew what an apprenticeship was. The truth is, you have to start somewhere. And every job has taught me some skill that I still use today. In order to build a career, you're going to need a bit of a plan. You're going to need something really important, and that's a job that's in demand, like some of these reflected here today. Many of our students decide they're going to be mechanics right away. So there's an expectation that some company should just apprenticeship you. But that's not always the case. You're going to have to work a little, get some of these part-time jobs in high school, and actually develop a work ethic that some of these companies are going to see. Research something you're interested in, test it out, and talk to people that work in that area. Because when you ask questions and show interest, that just might lead to opportunities and job ideas. Looking back now, our high school only had one trade-related class. It was woodworking. I took the class. It wasn't very inviting for the women, but I took it anyway and found out I didn't really like working with wood. And after high school, I graduated with my diploma went out into the workforce and found I was pretty much qualified for the same jobs I had in high school, after high school with my diploma. So working as a waitress, I decided I wanted something better. So I figured I needed more education and so I could get better jobs and more money. So basically I looked into one of the local college books you'll probably get here and just basically randomly picked something and enrolled in an engineering technology course. During my time in college, I got the opportunity to weld and do some machining. And this was the light, or the spark, should I say, that led me to trades. Unfortunately, I didn't successfully complete the college course I was enrolled in, but this particular job gave me some training and landed me a job as a welder at a farm implement manufacturer. It was the start of working with my hands, and it led me to a career that's very exciting. Trying to get in was a whole new challenge. Trying to find a company and apprenticeship you is definitely not as easy as some people say. Because you go in, they're trying to meet you, they're trying to understand if the training that you're going to provide for you, if you're going to be a great employee. So I guess you could say the wheels kind of fell off. So what I did was I started looking more desperately, and I was trying to find an apprenticeship. I even went so far as to put Pat on my resume instead of Patricia, just so somebody would give me a call. But sometimes when they found out I was a woman, yeah, the position was somehow mysteriously filled sometimes, so a little disappointing. So off I went. I knew there were demand for jobs. I knew there was a demand for tradespeople up in the Fort McMurray area. So I hopped into my truck and off I went. I took some more education at our local college, at Cano College, where I learned to operate the haul trucks and dozers and graders. And that got me a position at the company I work for now, at Syncrude, and that ultimately led to my mechanics apprenticeship. I was 28 when I started my apprenticeship. So as you can see, some things don't come as easy as you'd hope. And if you pick a career today, it might not be the career that you're going to do in the years to come. So why a mechanic? Well, I'll tell you. We were on the side of the road one year when I was really small. My mom was driving the car and my sister, and we blew a tire. We sat on the side of the road for almost 3 hours waiting for someone to come by and help us change that tire. I never wanted to feel that helpless again. I wasn't sure if my mom actually didn't know how to change the tire or she felt she wasn't capable of changing the tire, but you know what? It showed me that then I just really wanted to not feel that way again, so I'm going to learn how to do this and I'm going to be able to fix my own stuff. I picked mechanics. It incorporates a lot of knowledge that would be a big advantage in my personal life. We all drive cars, they break down. I wanted to learn how to fix them myself. Learning this trade has given me the ability to even repair my furnace, my appliances, because all the factors that come into being a mechanic, also I can relate to other areas of my life. The best part is when you finally fix the problem and it actually runs again. This is my very first rebuild on one of the sleds that I ride. That was like 8 years ago, and it was super exciting when you pull that and it actually runs. You know, I had witnessed a lot of guys in my neighborhood driving beautiful trucks, being able to go on vacations and all this, and they were going snowmobiling, and I thought, what do they do to make that money so that I can, what do they do? And so I started researching it, and I found out that they were welders, they were pipe fitters, they were crane operators, they were rig workers. And I thought, well, if they can do so well financially in some of these positions, why can't I? So that's why I researched it a bit, and I started getting into this. So being a mechanic, like I said, also allows me to enjoy a lot of other things. I get to modify my own trucks, modify my sleds. You know, I get the paycheck, helps me keep up with some of these hobbies that I have on the go. And as the saying goes, the princess lived happily ever after in her own big castle with all her own money, taking care of herself. Not that it's not bad to have a gentleman around, but I'll tell you, it is certainly nice to be a little bit financially independent. So I was one of the first female apprentices in our shop at Syncrude. Some of the guys were a little apprehensive, to say less. Some of them actually refused to even work with me. A lot of them were afraid of that word harassment. So, you know, they used to talk about me. It was a little intimidating. And, you know, I thought women were bad for gossip. But a lot of the guys are good too, so I can't really knock them out. But anyway, one experience I actually did have was I was a year in servicing equipment. And as I was servicing this equipment, we were organizing the job. There was about 6 of us there. One gentleman got up and left. I didn't really know what happened. But a few years ago, that supervisor retired. He came back and told me a story. He said, "Do you remember that day when that guy left?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember. I don't know what happened to him." He said, "Well, you came in and said something to me, and I should tell you what he said." So he came in the office and he said, "You know, I got a real problem with this situation." And the boss said, "Well, what's that problem?" And he said, "You know, I don't mind taking orders from an apprentice, but I'm not going to take orders from a woman." So I don't know where that gentleman is today, because obviously he's no longer working with us, but I'm sure he's somewhere taking orders from a woman somewhere in this world. Yeah, it takes a lot of strength to ignore the comments. Stay focused on your own success. You have just as much right to work there as they do. When you see how few women there are in these trades, and actually in the last 12 hours, I've witnessed the most amazing thing since I've been here in 10 years. I have seen usually 1 in 4 girls come by, and one of those girls has taken a mechanics class or knows what we're talking about over there in our HET booth. So I'm pretty proud of that in the last few years, so it's pretty miraculous. So, excuse me. When you see how few women, told you that, then it might become a little more welcoming. That's the idea. Hopefully some of the more industry out there start to recognize that there is another group of people that they can actually start hiring from. So I hope that kind of changes it a bit for a lot of these women out there that may be really seriously interested about working in these careers. So we're going to play a little video that was courtesy of our Syncrude Media Department. Yeah, being an HET takes a lot of perseverance. You sometimes have to be very determined. A lot of these guys have been doing this for almost their entire lives. They start out as little kids and their first thing, they're handed a wrench right off the bat, and I try to make up for it and with the knowledge of the equipment, try and educate myself a little bit more. Plus some have better ability physically to be able to do it, so I just learn little tricks. They'll use an extra tools or extra pry bars or whatever you need to do to try and, you know, make it work. I think at Syncrude we only have maybe 5 or 6 women that actually have taken this on as a full-time career. But I talked to quite a few all over the place that are interested but just think it's just not for them because no one's given them an opportunity to try it. Once you get out there and actually somebody lets you attempt it and see if you can actually do a few of these jobs, you realize that it's not as hard as everyone makes it out to be. I like the adventure. I like the ability to, you know, right when you get a job done and you actually see it run again, it's pretty exhilarating. You know, the truth is about this is that most of the guys that you work with, they really want you to succeed. They want you to be successful. You're a reflection of the women that they know in their lives. These men would like to, some of them guys I work with would love to see their daughters, wives, and girlfriends have the ability to take care of themselves. And they would be proud to see a lot of you women come in and pursue trades. Many of the men are more than willing to show you how to do a task, and you can watch. But the key is, if you're going to get involved in these trades, you have to kind of elbow your way in a bit. You're going to have to take the lead and actually learn and do the work yourself. So if someone's showing you how to do it, take the tools yourself and have them do it. You do it yourself so that you understand what you're going up against when you actually get your ticket and have to go off into the industry. Mechanic's job is typically very physically demanding. But there are a lot of tricks that I've learned over the seasons that I've mentioned in the video. Using pry bars, using lifting devices, asking for assistance. There's a lot of ways that you can overcome some of these shortages. You know, and it's a little painful sometimes. There'll be once or twice you might ratchet your knuckles, so not all mechanics have the nicest fingernails in the world, excuse me. You know, you need to be alert of what's going on around you. This job has a lot of potential for injury. It's a high-risk job, and that's some of the reasons why you get paid what you get paid to be there. A lot of people ask my advice. It's strange for me to be up here right now. I'm not much of a public speaker, but you'll never know where things will take you. So they asked me to go on to some of the advice that I've been asked about. So do your best, work hard, stay focused on your task and your goal. So what I mean by that is that if you have a task in front of you to take off a tire and put on a tire, stay focused on that task. Think about what you got to do next. Watch out for the things around you. Don't worry about the guy on his cell phone in the next bay. Just stay focused on those areas and remember what your goal is. Your goal is to learn what you need to learn to get your trade ticket so you can move on in your career. Listen, learn, and ask questions. You've always heard the saying, I get paid from the neck up. I'm kind of a believer in that. You can use your brawn for one thing, but if you think about what you're doing and make good plans, it'll help you overcome some of the physical aspects of the job. So use your intelligence. I focus on the knowledge of the equipment. I understand the systems better, and this helps me in solving problems faster. Be professional. I can't stress this enough, and it's not just in our trade, it's in a lot of different them. You know, posting your pictures on sexy oil patch Facebook page for girls is, you know, you'll get you attention, that's for sure, but it's sure not going to earn you any respect whatsoever. You can joke around with your male counterparts, but learn how to draw the line. Make it clear what makes you feel uncomfortable. Have a sense of humor if you can. It's been the best tool in allowing some of these guys to work comfortable with me. You know, you often hear guys in the field, they'll be talking about it and they'll say, well, yeah, put your purse down so you can swing that hammer. I often say, here, hold my purse and I'll show you how to swing that hammer. I'd recommend trying to avoid dating people at work. That's all never really ends good, trust me. As women in industry, your male bosses are going to find it difficult to manage you. They're scared to tell you if you're pulling your weight. You need to seek feedback from your journeymen and from your leaders to know that you're on the right track. And learn to take that constructive criticism and learn how to learn or develop your skills from it. The guys fear you crying. I know nobody brings this up very often, but yeah, they actually do. And you're probably going to cry at some point. I know I did. It's not going to be easy. Stuff is going to be physically exhausting, even painful, and mentally it will be hard too. You'll develop the strength to handle it. Don't feel bad or embarrassed about it. Just learn from it and move on. And the most important thing is no one is better than you. Everyone here puts their coveralls on, one leg at a time. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming and listening to my story, and I'd like to thank Becky for inviting me here today to speak to everybody. I have a little challenge because this is all about the competition. So if I have a couple of volunteers,
yeah,
we're going to do a little.
Two people who are willing to come up and try a little bit of a demonstration on some of the. Karen, great, come on up. Thank you.
You get to win a prize.
There's prizes.
There's prizes.
We need one more. Yeah, there we go.
You can't send him. He's a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, no.
We don't. He's already.
We can make him close his eyes and do it.
One of you ladies right there. Come on up. Come on, join us.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have to take this apart. Thank you. Okay. So a lot of our trade, like I said, incorporates a lot of different stuff. So, you know, there's hydraulics, there's electronics, electrical, everything, even mechanical stuff. So everything has, that's the one reason why it's such an interesting trade. But the one thing we really handle a lot is that we deal with hoses. Hoses leak, they come apart, so we have to change them. So what I'm doing right now is taking these off. And what I'm gonna get you ladies to do is put them on. Are you ready? We will be here to help, don't worry. So there's 2 hoses.
Okay. And they have different...
They have different ends on them because there's a lot of different fittings. And a lot of these hoses relate to many different trades. Like there'll be certain stuff they'll do in plumbing that's very similar to this. So if you just look at the ends and see if you can figure out where they go. It's a little difficult, more difficult than you think sometimes. Oh, you guys are doing good. You're pretty much neck and neck right now.
Oh my
It's
God.
not really a race. No, it's not a race. I'm just kidding. We don't want to stress you out any more than you already are. You're doing good. So these hoses that we have here we'll use on any sort of equipment. They can handle up to about 500 psi. Yeah? No, you got them on. We're good. We can go to the next one. Yeah? Throw it on. Yeah. And actually, that one's a tricky one. These are called quick connects. So you actually have to push them on. Watch your finger though. Oh, there you go. Where do we have a winner? Woo! Let's do that on.
You won?
Just a little. It was because I helped her. It was clearly because I helped you. And here's some of our little prize for you guys to take home with you and share with your friends and family.
Oh, it is a...
It's an actual working engine that you get to put together yourself. So not only did you start your mechanics work today, you're going to go home and now you're going to build an engine for everybody.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank
so
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if anyone has any questions about our trade or anything else, the skills, we're over at the HET booth for the next day. Justin, you have a question for us? No, we're good. If anyone has any comments or questions? No? Well, thank you very much, Becky. Appreciate you letting me come today.
Let's give Patricia another big round of applause today. She did awesome. She was so nervous and she did so great. We're asking you to come back next year for sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So there we go. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. We're going to have about a 5-minute break here, and then our last presentation is Careers the Next Generation, where they're going to talk about some high school RAT programs that either students, maybe if you have teenagers who are interested in these careers, how they can get started when they're in high school. So we will start about 5 minutes here.